This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.
Welcome to Confidently Cherished. My name is Keisha Rice, and I am a dating coach and hypnotherapist for ambitious women of faith. I have a friend who every time the new year comes around, I always ask her how she's doing. And we've known each other for, I don't know, 10, 15 years at this point. She always says, New Year, same old me. And I was thinking about this because at this point we are as I'm recording this is February, so most of you are a month into the new year. For me, I am 2 months because my birthday is in December. I always celebrate the new year with my birthday. So by the time January 1st is rolling around, I'm a month into working on my goals for that year. And I was thinking about how at this point a lot of people are falling off on their resolutions. In fact, I cannot at the moment think of the exact day, but there is a day in January that scientifically there have been several studies to suggest this is the point in which people drop off. A lot of people drop off on their New Year's goals. It's around January 20th, 21st, somewhere around that time. And to think about the fact that, I always heard it takes 21 days to make a habit, and a lot of people drop off and give up on their New Year's goals, 20, 21 days into the new year. So I was thinking about this when it comes to dating and relationships, and why, for a lot of women, to be honest, they're going to end 2023 in the same place that they were in 2022, as far as not having the relationships that they want, and about why it is that they are not getting the healing that they need. And the main reason for this is this inability to recognize that just having new things is not enough. So, a lot of people place so much focus on when I have X, then Y will happen, or when I get the right X, then Y will happen. So there's this focus on constantly reading new books or listening to new podcast episodes or finding a new romantic partner, finding a therapist, coach, or counselor. And then if things aren't going well with that therapist, coach, or counselor, finding a new one to help you achieve your goals. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those things in and of themselves, because they are incredibly helpful. When it comes to relationships, we are expected to grow through our relationships. This is why I often see women making the mistake of believing that they have to heal every single thing that's going on in their lives before they get out there and date. And the reason why this is a mistake is because, yes, you do want to do some healing work. If you have a pattern of unhealthy relationships, you absolutely want to do some healing work before you try to enter into healthy ones. However, you can't do all of that work by yourself. There are a lot of things that you have to deal with that you are not going to be able to work those things out until you are in that healthy relationship. For example, if you have trust issues, you are not going to be able to truly heal from trust issues until you are in a relationship where you trust someone and this person does not break your trust. Yes, until you are in a situation where you have given someone your trust and they have proven to be worthy of that trust, you're not going to completely heal those trust issues. So, yes, we do need new people to come into our lives, healthier people to come into our lives to help us break those patterns. And when we talk about new books, new podcasts, following certain people on social media who can teach you about healthy relationships, like me, shameless plug. Um, Seeing a coach, seeing a counselor, seeing a therapist, these things are helpful in a lot of ways. They expose you to new ideas. They give you language. that you may not have had before to understand a certain situation. Gaslighting, that word I can think of as a prime example. There are so many people I know who did not know what gaslighting was, but they were being gaslit by people in their lives. And it wasn't until a lot of people started talking about gaslighting on social media that they finally had the language to be like, okay, yes, this is what's happening to me. And even though at this point that word is being overused on social media, um, and sometimes people say certain things are gaslighting when they're not, in general, most of the content on gaslighting is very good, and it helps people have that language to be like, "I'm not crazy. I know something is happening to me, and this is what it is." Um, having those books, those coaches, listening to the podcast, watching the YouTube videos, like I said, it makes it help you feel like you're not alone. When you understand that you're going through something that other people have gone through as well, it makes it a lot easier for you to see yourself healed from that and believe that healing from it is possible because you see other people, coming out on the other side. It gives you new ways to explore. When you are watching certain videos or reading a book, you can hear about new techniques, new methods in order to help you heal from whatever issues you're dealing with. What led me to my journey of becoming a hypnotherapist is becoming a patient first, becoming someone who went to hypnotherapy. And I got the idea about going to hypnotherapy because of a couple of videos that I'd seen on TikTok and on YouTube. So, had it not been for those things, I wouldn't have had that new way to learn how to explore and how to cope and how to deal with my emotions the way that I work through them in hypnotherapy, right? And then when you have actual people in your life, a coach, a therapist, a counselor, new friends who come into your life, when you make the decision that you want to change up your circle, these people are great because they can hold space for you. They can be someone that you can talk to while you process these emotions, any difficult emotions that you are dealing with. These are people who can hold you accountable, remind you of why you left that bad relationship, or remind you of why you're changing your habits now, why you're trying different things, why you are making the effort to improve your life. So, having these new people in your life is vital. And again, back to relationships, when you finally find yourself in a healthy relationship, you learn what it means to be treated beyond the bare minimum. For some people who've been treated below the bare minimum for so long, they learn what bare minimum behavior should be. Again, if you have a partner who is healthy, someone who holds space for you, you have the ability to feel safe with someone. And those are very invaluable things. So, having new, whether it is new books, new podcasts, new YouTubers to follow, new social media influencers to follow, a new coach, a new therapist, having a new love in your life, those things are good. But those things in and of themselves will not fix your relationship problems. They will not fix your unhealthy generational patterns that you picked up from your parents or grandparents or any guardian who raised you or any adults that you were surrounded by when you were a child. Those things in themselves will not solve the problem. They are a massive help in solving the problem. They will help you solve them quicker, but only after you do this. And that is change the way in which you interact with love. If you want to have healthy, loving relationships, not just a romantic relationship, but also healthy, loving relationships with friends, with the family members that you choose to allow to be close with you. And that is a choice. You don't have to be close to someone just because they're related to you. But when you choose a circle for yourself that is healthy and loving, in order to accept that love, you have to be willing to sometimes change how you both give and receive love. You have to, first of all, be a cheerful giver. I think about I was recently on someone else's podcast and we were talking about Christianity and we were talking about giving tithes and offering to churches. And she was saying that she finds it difficult because on one hand, she feels obligated to give to the church. On the other hand, there's a Bible verse that says that God loves a cheerful giver. And if you've listened to me for any period of time, you know that I always say that all relationships are related. And I think that this is definitely related when we talk about your relationship with God, with church, with religion, and your relationship with people as well. It is true that it's important to be a cheerful giver. So if because your past, you were in a situation where, you feel like you have to give in order to receive love, you feel like you have to give in order to make people act a certain way, you have to give in order for someone to like you are going to constantly attract unhealthy relationships, even when it comes to faith. Again, as someone who's Christian, if I'm giving money and it's in a begrudging way, it's often because I'm in a place of not giving cheerfully because I feel like I'm blessed, but giving because I feel like I need something from God and I'm giving begrudgingly, hoping that He'll see the sacrifice and do the thing that I'm asking for at the time. But when you give cheerfully, just like when you give in faith and you give cheerfully, money or whatever, and, it doesn't always have to be money. It could be making the decision to give time, your energy. But when a person gives in faith and they give cheerfully, oftentimes good things tend to happen because they are in this positive mindset. And that mindset that they are in is what attracts good things, not the fact necessarily that they gave. Because giving out of obligation is often also giving out of manipulation. And it is the same way when it comes to our friendships and when it comes to romantic love. When we give to people feeling like because we gave to them, of course, they are going to give back things to us. They were going to pour back into us. We are really manipulating them, or at least trying to manipulate them into behaving a certain way back towards us. And even if they do act the way in which you are hoping for, it's still manipulation, it's still unhealthy, and it still comes from a not so great energy. So, this is why we have to learn how to give with detachment. So, understanding that I understand that when I am a giving person, life has taught me that it always comes back to me. So I don't worry about it coming back to me. When I give, it comes back. However, I have noticed that it doesn't always come back in the way that I gave it. I can think of times where I have tried to be there for a friend. I have tried to support this person, really help them out, give to them, pour into them, and I never see the return back from that person, but I do end up seeing it back someplace else. So I give money to one friend who is having a hard time, and then another friend gives me money as a gift, or my parents give me money, or my husband gets some kind of bonus at his job or whatever and gives me money to take, to spend on myself and take myself out since um, he works on the road sometimes. So it's not unusual for me to get it back. In fact, I've pretty much always gotten it back. But it doesn't necessarily come from the person I gave it to. And because I give with detachment, then I don't worry about it. And, I also know that there's a fine line and when to cut that balance. There are times when it is okay to give to someone knowing that they can or won't give it back. And there are times where you recognize that this person is using you and you cut the relationship off. So it's being able to recognize the difference between those two, to know when to give someone chances and to know when that person needs to either be cut out of your life or they need less access to you, less giving from you. But you have to learn how to put giving in its proper place. You also have to understand if you are giving from a place of wounding because you've been hurt by people before, you think that you can avoid this hurt by giving and making someone like you that way. Again, it is manipulation when you're acting from that standpoint. And, on the other hand, oftentimes I encounter women who don't know how to receive. They are so used to giving and putting effort out, putting energy forth, that they don't know what it means to receive love from other people. And then they wonder why they're in unhealthy relationships where they are always the giver. Well, that's their default pattern. And not only is that their default pattern, but if you are with a person and you're in a romantic relationship and he is constantly trying to give to you and you don't accept it, eventually he will get frustrated. Eventually he will find someone who is willing to accept those gifts. If that's not going to be you, it will be someone else. So it's when we change our own relationship with giving, with receiving, allowing ourselves to give in a healthy and cheerful way, and allowing ourselves to receive in a gracious, so not entitled way, but in a gracious and loving way, then that is when the other things factor in. That is when it is important to have the new books, the new podcasts, the new videos, the new atmosphere, the new friends, the new romantic partner. That's when having those things in place really matters, because once you are willing to take those steps to change your relationship with how you give and with how you receive, then the other stuff falls in line. You have those opportunities to give and receive because then the right relationships come into your life. So you have to be willing to change this relationship. You have to be willing to expand your consciousness, to be discerning, to be present, and to also recognize that when you are learning to give, when you are learning to receive, and you're learning to do those things properly, that it also takes time. So you have to be willing to be patient with yourself as well. When it comes to working with clients as a coach, I meet with clients before I ever start charging them. Like I like to have a call first. And the reason why, either a call or a conversation over DMs, either one. But the reason why I like to do this is because I want to work with someone who I'm aligned with, who is a fit for me, and someone that I'm a fit for them. And also, I want to be able to understand certain things that might be a red flag. So, one major red flag for me is if someone says something like, "Oh, I want to completely change how I am in relationships and, attract the love of my life in 6 weeks," right? I'm not saying that it's impossible, but at the same time, if you are dealing with a lot of relationship baggage, if you're dealing with a lot of unhealthy patterns, then time is the least of our worries and it should be considered that way. You have to be willing to give yourself some time, some patience, and some grace, and to understand that even if it doesn't unfold, so, you meeting the love of your life, if it doesn't unfold in the timeline that you want it to, it will still unfold. And having the strength and the courage to be like, I am here for the process because I know I'm going to be so much better on the other side, that whatever amount of time it takes is worth it. That is when a person is really willing and really at a place where they can do the deep work. And it's funny because I find that when someone gets to that point where they are ready and willing to be patient with themselves, um, it's funny, that's when things start to unfold really quickly. That's when, the transformations start to happen in rapid succession and they do start attracting more of what they want in life, because that level of being intentional but still having some detachment, that's the space that you want to be in for your life to transform. So let me know what you think of this episode. As always, take a screenshot and post in your stories. Tag me at Keisha Rice. I'm at Keisha Rice on Instagram, on YouTube, and on TikTok. Or you could also DM me and let me know what you think of this episode. And let me know what you're doing to help yourself better give love, better receive love, so that this is a new year and a new you. Love you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey there. So you made it all the way to the end of the episode, which means I have two things to say. One, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And two, you like me. You really like me. So I would appreciate it if you would show that by subscribing to this podcast so that more people can hear about it and enjoy it as much as you do. And if you want to know more about any of the links that I mentioned on this episode or any guests that I've had, be sure to go to KeishaRice.com/links. That's KESHIARICE.com/links. I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode. So see you then.